A study conducted in 2012 by the movie subscription service LoveFilm found that based on a calculation of laughs per minute, the 1980 spoof film Airplane is the funniest movie of all time, generating 3 laughs per minute. 9 other comedy films considered the best of all time by the panel were included in this study, and as you can see, Airplane was the clear winner at 3 laughs per minute. Today I want to talk about Airplane, and why I too believe it is the funniest movie ever created. Let's start at the beginning. I remember watching Airplane as a kid with my family. Although my dad has never been the guy to sit down and watch a whole film, I remember watching it with him and my other family members several times because of how exceptionally funny it is. As a kid, I always found lots of humor in it, but I don't think I completely understood all the references and attempts at satirical comedy. As an adult, I have an enhanced appreciation for this film. I appreciate how clever, how ridiculous, how literal, and how smart it is about the types of film it parodies. And while it's not an experience that you're going to walk away from with grand revelations about human nature and lessons you can implement in your own life, there is no better film to watch when you just want to laugh. Airplane is a film that I'm almost certain you will get at least 3 laughs per minute out of. I've watched it over and over for like 20 years now, and I've never grown tired of it. I don't think Airplane is a film you can grow tired of, because no matter how many times you've heard the jokes, and no matter how much you know they're coming, it'll still make you laugh because it's just so ridiculous and so harmlessly fun. And that's a big reason that I think myself and many others keep coming back to this film. Sometimes it's odd to think about how films like these resonate with people longer than some of the best dramas do. There's something easy about watching Airplane. It's a pick-me-up of sorts that can brighten your day unlike any other comedy film. Its personality and sense of humor is likable because it's lighthearted. You don't need to analyze the primary conflict and the characters and the hidden meanings, you just need to sit back and enjoy the wild ride. I think that's part of Airplane's charm. It doesn't bog you down with the details, it just goes for the laughs all the way through. While there certainly is a main plot and subplots and a primary conflict, those really only provide the backdrop and a stage for the characters to do ridiculous things on. I think where Airplane differs from more traditional comedy films is that there isn't very much character development, and the plot only thickens in a way that allows the situations to become funnier. It puts the characters in more ridiculous situations and has them do more ridiculous things as the film progresses. It's almost entirely focused on making you laugh and not much else. There's punchline after punchline and not much actual story or development in between. This is a large reason I believe Airplane is the funniest movie of all time. It's not trying to offer a cookie cutter comedy experience. It's not trying to offer many things at once. It offers one thing and it offers it insanely well. But there are certainly several reasons why Airplane is so effective at being hilarious. The one thing it does better than any other film to date. The first being that Airplane references and parodies traditional narrative structure and does so in a way that allows the viewer to join in on the mockery of disaster movies specifically. Although Airplane is very much a parody of the 1957 film 0 Hour, I think you could retroactively apply the satirical nature of the plot to any number of disaster films. The foundation is that the characters are in a race against the clock while facing impending doom and seemingly insurmountable odds. Airplane includes those genre conventions and then mocks them by illustrating just how silly they can be when you break it all down. They satirically mock how seemingly oblivious the background characters can be, how predictable the obstacles and character growth can be, and how films like these tend to explain every little detail of the crisis through exposition so that the audience thoroughly understands. I describe Airplane as a thoughtfully ridiculous film. I say it's thoughtful because it's very clear and very thorough about its intentions, but unlike many other similar parody films of later years, Airplane actually hits the mark. There's been many spoof films, but yet none of them have succeeded and resonated with audiences the way that Airplane has. Why is that? Well, I would argue that one reason is because Airplane has a better understanding of its inspired content than those other films do. Airplane hits all the same beats that a disaster film would, but it does so in a way that respects the audience's intelligence and experiences with the genre, all the while being incredibly silly and over the top. I think if you dig deep enough, you'll see the wittiness of the content, but on the same token, Airplane doesn't require it to enjoy. Taken on face value, Airplane is a very easy film to watch, very lighthearted and a hilariously good time. When we break down what exactly makes Airplane hilarious, part of it is like I mentioned earlier, the fact that its sense of humor is so literal. The characters consistently take part in wordplay and take what each other are saying 100% literally. I'll show you 2 examples right here that illustrate this brand of humor that's pervasive through a ton of the film. It's simple yet so incredibly effective because of how silly and immersion breaking it is.
Captain, how soon can you land?
I can't tell.
You can tell me, I'm a doctor.
No, I mean, I'm just not sure.
Or can't you take a guess?
Well, Not for another 2 hours.
You can't take a guess for another 2 hours?
Nervous?
Yes.
First time.
No, I've been nervous lots of times.
These clever jokes do wonders for Airplane, but so does its mockery of stereotypes. There's a ton of characters that are literally walking stereotypes of their races, gender, or religion. The perfect example of this are the black guys who only speak jive, which is a completely separate language than what the other characters speak. This mocks stereotypes, particularly those held by some in the 1980s that African American men speak in slang and difficult to understand verbiage. There was also a mockery of how some Asian cultures valued honor suicide, and other similar types of jokes that fall along the same lines as the legendary brand of humor delivered by Chappelle's Show back in the 2000s. I make these points to illustrate the fact that nothing is off limits for Airplane. They make jokes about drug abuse, sexuality, gender roles, racial and religious stereotypes, and this all boils down to an experience that feels like it holds nothing back whatsoever. I think a reason Airplane has stuck with people for so long is because it doesn't hold anything back. It jokes about taboo subject matter and does so in a way that does not evoke feelings of anger or frustration from its audience, but instead evokes laughter and a chance to make fun of everything we think we know about movies in the real world. I've also mentioned in some of my reviews before that all great comedy films are quotable. Great comedy films have punchlines that you'll remember for years to come because of how clever, hilarious, and memorable they are. If you were to rate how quotable Airplane is on a scale of 1 to 10, it would be a 20. There are so many lines from this film that are still quoted to this very day, nearly 40 years later. Don't call me Shirley. Looks like I picked the wrong week to quit smoking. Joey, have you ever seen a grown man naked? And so many more lines that will forever live in the minds of movie buffs everywhere. Great films stay with people for great amounts of time, and when it comes to comedy, a quotable factor is some of the highest currency you can offer, and Airplane offers it in insane amounts. There's one more thing Airplane offers that I want to briefly discuss, and that's the visuals. I actually think Airplane excels at visual comedy at a very high level. What's interesting about that though, is that this movie is actually rated PG, and there are certainly things that are almost certainly not appropriate for a PG crowd in 2018. But regardless, I think Airplane is often very funny without even having to deliver any lines of dialogue at all. The way the plane looks in the sky, the visible wires when watching Stryker dance in the bar, the blow-up autopilot, these are all just shots that look incredibly goofy, and that's part of Airplane's charm as well. It's satirical and a parody film, and I love how there's many times when the characters don't even need to say anything to make the scene hilarious. Overall though, Airplane is an amazing comedy experience, and a rare satire film that has in many ways outlasted its source material. It provides constant laughs through a taboo and silly sense of humor, and it's just harmlessly fun. When it comes to comedy, there is no better way to pass the time than to turn on Airplane and just watch the hilarious fireworks. Because of that and all the other reasons I laid out in this video, Airplane in my opinion is the funniest movie of all time. Thanks for watching. Make sure to let me know your thoughts and concerns in the comments below. And of course, let me know what you think about Airplane as a film. Either way, that's all for now. This is WillFoxification signing off.